Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel, and in this video tutorial I'll be teaching you on how to draft your basic bodice pattern. And as you can see what I'm doing, these are the things you'll be needing in drafting your basic bodice pattern. And so let's jump right into it. First of all, I would like to just get a starting point, and because of the type of paper I'm using, sometimes it might be straight, sometimes it might not. And I actually don't like starting from the edge, so you have to subtract like half an inch from the edge to that point where I started marking, just to have that straight line in which you'll be using to measure your basic bodice pattern. And the measurement you'll be needing is your shoulder length, your bust, your waist, and your hip length, as well as your armhole and your nipple to nipple point. So the first thing I would like to do once I'm done is to get my body measurements from my shoulder to my waist and from my waist to my hip. Alright, so when you're done with that, I actually started measuring my shoulder to bust points, which is 10 inches, and from there I measured from my shoulder to my hip line, which is 24 inches. Then I did the same thing in front of it so I could get a straight line. After that, I went ahead to measure my shoulder to waistline, which is 16 inches, and I also drew the horizontal line, connected the horizontal lines together. So the next thing I'm doing is to take my neckline measurement, which is the regular 3 by 3 inches. That's 3 inches for the width and 3 inches for the depth. So what you do is to make a square, like 3 inches by 3 inches. And once you're done, the next thing to do is to get your neckline curve. And so at the angle of the square by your right hand side, I measure out 1.5 inches for the curve. That is if you don't have the curve ruler, but if you have the curve ruler, you can as well just make a curve straight away. So the next thing I'm doing is to get my shoulder length, which is 8 inches. I came down by 1 inches for my shoulder slant, and my armhole length is 8 inches as well, 8.5 inches rather. So if you subtract 1 inches from 8.5, you are left with 7.5 inches. So you draw your horizontal line for where your armhole length stops and connect the line to your shoulder slant. The next thing to do is to get the midpoint on your armhole length, and that is in order so you could draw the front armhole curve. And so you divide the remaining measurement, that is 7.5 divided by 2. Whatever you get, you will come forward by 1 inches, and then you connect the lines together in order to get your armhole curve. Just watch what I'm doing, you're going to get it. It's very, very simple. And then you try and connect it together. So please don't mind me. I actually don't have a curve ruler yet, so I'm using my hand, and that is the reason why I'm using a pen to trace it out first before using a marker. So that's why you can't see it clearly, but I'm still going to trace it out with a marker. I actually don't want to make a mistake. That is why I'm using a pen first. As you can see that the 1 inches I took out for the front armhole curve. We are all very curvy in the front, and if you leave out that 1 inches, that there will be extra fabric at the armhole point, unlike at the back. And so that's the reason why we take out that 1 inches from the front. So the next thing I'm doing now is to label my horizontal lines. The first one is the upper chest line, the second one is the bust line, the third one is the waist line, and the fourth one is the hip line. Now what I'm doing is to take my nipple to nipple measurement, which is your bust span, which mine is 4 inches. Sorry guys, something came up and I didn't know my camera wasn't recording. And so I'll just like to explain briefly. What I did was to draw my dart. And after you've done your horizontal line measurement and you've done your nipple to nipple measurement, the next thing to do is that you come up by 2 inches from your hip line, as you can see, 2 inches upward, and then 1 inches downward from your bust line, and then you subtract half an inch from both sides on your waistline on that horizontal line we drew with our bust span. So that was how I was able to draw out the dart. But not to worry, you're still going to see me replicate the same thing on my back bodice. So let's continue. So the next thing to do is to impute your measurements. My bust is 36. 36 divided by 4 is 9, plus 1 inches for the same allowance is 10. So I imputed that on my chest line. For my waist is 32. 32 divided by 4 plus 2 inches is 10. So as you can see, I imputed that. And my hip is 42. 42 divided by 2 plus 1 inches. Everything approximately is 12 inches. And so as you can see, I connected the line for my measurements together. And now I want to try and get my side dart, and the way you can do that is to measure from your chest line to your waistline and divide it by 2. So once you've done that, connect that line to your bust point line, that 4 inches we measured, and then you take away half an inch from both sides. It's as simple as that.
Onídúró mi ẹ ṣeun.
And now I want to draw the neckline for my back bodice, because later on I'll be separating the back from the front. So I just came down by 1 inch for my neckline for the back, and then I traced out the armhole curve for the back, which is different from the front. You just do the regular armhole curve for the back. As you can see, our bodice is ready. Now I want to transfer the front basic bodice pattern to use it and draft out the back. Just watch me as I do so.
Onídúró mi ẹ ṣeun. Onídúró mi ẹ ṣeun púpọ̀. Onídúró mi ẹ ṣeun. Onídúró mi ẹ ṣeun púpọ̀. Ó jẹ́ ènìyàn ló dúró mi, wọ́n ti mọ̀ sí egun. Onídúró mi ẹ ṣeun. Ọlọ́run o. Onídúró mi ẹ ṣeun. Onídúró mi ẹ ṣeun púpọ̀. Ó jẹ́ ènìyàn ló dúró mi, wọ́n ti mọ̀ sí egun. Onídúró mi ẹ ṣeun. Onídúró mi ẹ ṣeun.
At this point, what I'm doing is to carefully, and I mean carefully, dot out the points, like the chest line points, the waist line points, the bust line points, as well as the hip line points on the back pattern paper. And so I shifted it a bit in front and I dotted the lines so that I could trace it back later. And so that's what I'm doing. I drew out the horizontal line, the chest line, the bust line, the waistline, and then the hip line for the back bodice. But mind you, there's no zipper allowance in this. In case you would want to, cut out your back, bodice on a cloth or on the fabric, ensure that you input your zipper allowance in this. This is just a basic bodice to guide you on how to cut out your basic body measurement on your fabric, and this could be used in whatever project you're working on in the future. You would always need a basic body, especially when you are dealing with the upper parts of your body. All right, so that is what I'm doing. I came up with 2 inches from the hip line measurement upward, and I came down by half an inch from the bust line instead of 1 inch like I did in the front, because there is no bust at the back. So if you would come up more than that of the front, and so I took away half an inch on the waistline from both sides, and as you can see, I'm connecting back. So this was what I did in front when my camera wasn't recording. I'm so sorry about that. Okay, so the next thing I did was to label my pattern paper. That's the center back. The center back most times is cut on a fold, and I labeled the front pattern the center front, okay, because that's what you'll be placing on fold anytime you want to cut your fabric. Trimmed out my neckline for the front as well as the armhole curve for the front, and that is it, guys, for the basic bodice pattern. Thank you for joining me on this. My name is Jesu Tosin, and I am the creative head for Beauty and Fashion. Please, guys, subscribe to this YouTube channel. This is the only way you can encourage me to do more videos like this. Please, let's make this channel grow. Thanks a lot for joining me. Have a wonderful day, night, wherever you are in the part of the world. Bye bye.